Strongest planet is Venus, Pluto, Neptune, Mars. Venus, Pluto, Neptune, Mars. Okay. Like, try to memorize that. This is really, really important. I think I'm starting to look at charts, not looking at the big three from the primal triad, but looking at the strongest planets. Because even if you think of this is a Pluto, Mars, Venus person, I found that's actually going to give you more information than the primal triad. So this person is Venus, Pluto, Neptune, Mars. Venus, Pluto, Neptune, Mars, right? And aspect wise, strongest aspect is, yes, is the Venus opposing the ascendant. Right? We say opposing, but Venus in aspect to the ascendant, we'll see, is actually a better way to think about this, okay? Venus in aspect. Strongest planet, Venus, in aspect to the ascendant, okay? That will give you a whole lot of information about this person, all right? The second strongest aspect is a parallel between Mercury and Pluto. And then after that, the trine between Venus and Pluto, and a trine between Mars and the moon. That's really kind of all, right? Those are the major, everything above 8 points for the aspects. It's an interesting chart, kind of like, right, like some charts, something like really jumps out. So if you're trying to find one thing to build this conversation or the idea of this person around, where might you start?
Rulership, probably the fifth house, and because there's Neptune and it's one of the strongest planets.
Ding, 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 ding. All right. That to me, that's like ding, ding. Alarm bells went off with that. Okay. Fifth house. Fifth house. Okay. Anyone got anything?
Squaring Saturn, Neptune.
Neptune is squaring Saturn and squaring Mars. It's a nice T-square. So what might this T-square be good for? We're talking about a famous person, so let's not think of hard aspects as negative things, because if hard aspects had crushed this person, we wouldn't be talking about them. So they've been able to use these hard aspects for something positive. All right. So, and rulership is a good clue. So think, what might this T-square be good for? What does the Neptune rule? What does the fifth house Neptune rule? Does it rule any other houses?
Then 10th house.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ideas. What I'm like, relationships are a part, or this is the strongest planet. So the Venus is going to be a part of it. The Venus rules the fifth house, so love affairs, partnerships. That's definitely on the table. Venus also rules the 11th house. Venus is also one of the rulers of the 11th house. Okay? So just putting these things on the table. Right? The idea is not to jump to conclusions, because things don't always look the way they seem. Right? And this chart is a really good example. But as we'll see, the answers are here, but if we get blinded or distracted by something else, we go off in a certain direction. And so one of the things to consider is this is the chart of a male, of a man, okay? Of a man. So let that go in and see if it changes anything about what you see. This will be a good test, okay? So we were moving in a certain direction that I really liked, okay? And Mars opposing Saturn and a T-square with, both squaring Neptune in the fifth, ruler of the 10th. So let's just sit with that configuration. And I'm giving you the words, right? I know, but I'm giving you the words as far as what to pay attention to see what images, what ideas come to mind. So think of in terms of a good use for this energy. Don't think in describing a person, thinking of, what would be some good expressions or good uses of this condition? Because, I mean, to me, every single person, everyone's chart I've ever looked at, everyone is living their chart. Some people are doing it more gracefully than others, but everyone is expressing their chart. So if we see a configuration in the chart, that configuration is finding expression somehow. Right? Some people find expression in watching movies, watching television, right? Scrolling Instagram, right? That's an expression, right? They're probably not going to be famous, you know, but someone who is finding like a real life living expression where they're living it out in the world, okay, right? They're overcoming obstacles. They're doing shit. Right? You'll see it, and you'll see it in their lives. You'll either see them overcoming, or you'll see them being crushed by it. And I'm talking, when I say it, by it, I'm talking about configurations like this one. And if you look at anyone who's really accomplished a whole lot, typically you're going to see some kind of configuration like this one. And so if we're talking about resources, okay, one of the ways to think about the second house is, right, how people generate resources. Someone's asking me about, I want to make more money. The first thing I'm doing is looking at their second house. And I'm saying, if you do these things and you learn to do them well, money will chase you down. So what we're seeing is the ruler of the second house in a square aspect to the ruler of the 10th. And the ruler of the 10th, right, I'm talking about Neptune, in a trine aspect to Jupiter, ruler of the 10th, in the 9th.
Mars and Saturn like an action hero.
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's much closer to. So Mars, Saturn, in both squaring the ruler of the 10th and the 5th. We'll go slow. We'll go slow, okay? Mars and Saturn both squaring the ruler of the 10th and the 5th. So let's start with Mars. All right, give me a Mars term. Mars anything. A warrior, right? Someone who's going to battle, someone who's fighting something, right? Going to battle, right? Competition, right? Saturn. All right, what kind of competition? Okay, if we're specifically talking about this person's Mars, okay? And we're saying this person made money from doing Mars stuff, okay? And now we see a Saturn opposition. What else could we say about the Mars stuff that this person was doing? Maybe it was hard.
It requires endurance.
There you go. Perfect. Boom. It was difficult, right? Hard work. Hard Mars work. Hard Mars work. Okay. Hard Mars work. Now, if we bring in if we bring in Neptune in the 5th. Neptune in the 5th. Because this is what I said. Mars, Saturn squaring Neptune. No. Neptune, ruler of the 10th. Okay. Neptune, ruler of the 10th. Something about, right, this person's job role, he captured people's imagination. Doing what? 5th house things. What do you guys think? Any ideas? Not about who, but when I say any ideas, what is your response to my thinking?
When I see Neptune in Scorpio, I think of a magician.
Oh.
Like performing.
All right, but we got to get the fifth house, okay? So a magician performing, if you were talking about this person and you use those words, okay, nobody would have any problem with you using those words, right? They might say, oh, I didn't think about it that way, but that's a beautiful way to describe what this person does. Right? But how do you integrate the Saturn and Mars? That's what I'm trying, without forcing it. Where does Saturn and Mars fit easily?
Like, it doesn't make sense, but I just think of someone who's a car racer. I'm not sure if that's the term. Like
boom,
Formula.
you're in the right, boom, you're okay. That feels so good. Right? You're in the ballpark. That's beautiful, right? Because, right, if you think of Saturn, Mars, where would we imagine someone working magic with Saturn and Mars? Where in our world does that happen every night?
What about an athlete?
All right, let's get some more clues, okay? Yes, this is a chart of an athlete. Yes. Jupiter, okay, based off what we've already said, okay, Jupiter in the 9th conjunct the midheaven in Pisces. Trine Neptune in the 5th, ruler of the 10th.
Is this person a swimmer?
I'm sure, no, but I'm sure they could swim well. Not a swimmer, I don't know.
A wrestler?
Mm-mm. So the clues to the sport, okay? Jupiter, 9th house, moon in Sagittarius. You guys saw what I just did, right? Jupiter in the 9th, sun in the 9th, moon in Sagittarius, Jupiter conjunct the midheaven. Right? That's a theme that jumps out. This is something, if you think of, takes a little bit of deeper thinking, but this is a good example of how to think deeper about something. Okay. If you look on the, if you look at the symbol for Sagittarius, okay, you look at someone for Sagittarius, what imagery
An
comes to mind?
archer.
Okay, but just think of thinking deeper, what underlies the sport of archery? What's the underlying principle that motivated people to use this symbol?
Keep taking your shot to hit the bullseye.
Like a
Yes, 100%. Keep taking your shot to hit the bullseye. We can think even deeper than that. What are the underlying principles, right, behind taking your shot until you hit the bullseye? What are the underlying principles based off what you know about Sagittarius and Jupiter? We're going deeper. We're going underneath the right. We're trying to connect to the origin of the symbol, right? And we know that Sagittarius has something to do with faith. How can we create the link? So archery, right? Here's the answer. Okay, archery. There's something over there, right, that I need to hit from over here. So any kind of sport where there's a flying object trying to hit something is Sagittarius, right? So Sagittarius rules outdoor sports. You know, kids in the house playing ball. What's the famous line, right? Don't play ball inside, go outside, right? Because you need space, right? And when I'm talking to someone who has a lot of Sagittarius in their chart, and I'll use this image. No, you guys have probably heard this, right? Someone walking in the forest, right? And they just randomly against a tree, they see a bow with the quiver of arrows, and they see a target down there, right? And this person is a Sagittarius. So they look and they're like, huh, I wonder if I could hit the bullseye, right? No, Sagittarius says, I could do that, okay? And so they go and they pick up an arrow and they pick up a bow and they pull it back and they shoot, okay? And either it goes way over or it falls way short, okay? Right? If it's a Capricorn, they're like, I got better things to do, and they walk away. If it's a Sag, right, I can hit this, okay? And then they'll keep shooting, and an hour later, right, they're starting to hit the bullseye, right? And someone walks by, and they're like, whoa, how did you do that, okay? The person is going to share their philosophy that they figured out through their shooting. I figured if I pull it back this far, and I aim it this high, right, I know it's going to hit the target. Faith through experience, right? So any sport where there's something that has to, right, you have to work on your philosophy right here to create an effect down there. 9th house sport.
Quarterback, baseball player.
100, yeah, perfect, right? Pitcher, it would be a pitcher for a baseball player, yes. Golfer, right? Golf, you got to get all your stuff right here. Hit the ball, hit that little ball to make it go in some hole way down there, hit a bullseye way down there. Okay. These are all, do you see how someone who has that urge powerful in them will be drawn to these kinds of sports? Right? It makes sense, right? It's drawn to them, it's an expression of it all, right? It's right, it gives them an opportunity to express that need. And in this chart, you can see it's powerful, right? And it's connected to the 10th house. But there is a Venusian thing about this person that nobody will be able to deny. That's the hint right there, okay? Is Venus 100% marks this person. So if we get out of our training of about the seventh house partnership, which is valid for most people, right? The Venus strongest planet and it's your question. Strongest aspect in this chart is Venus opposing the ascendant.
Oh, he's good looking?
Okay. I don't know. Maybe. Yes, he is good looking. He is good looking. Very attractive man. But it's in Capricorn and it's opposing the first house. Right? Listen to what I'm saying. I'm giving you the clues. It's in Capricorn, it's opposing the first house. And what do we already know about this person? It's an athlete. So, okay, here's information about the first house. Okay, any activation to the first house represents the body. The body, okay? And we might say he's attractive, but Venus doesn't really come off that way in a man's chart. It's typically something that the man does, okay? And I'm putting that in the sign of Capricorn. Right, is that the ascendant has access to a certain kind of sensitivity to beauty. So when this person moves, it's a beautiful thing to behold. Right, it's not conventional astrology, but I mean, if you follow the logic, it makes sense. I'm getting some of this from seventh house is partnership, right? And we're going to see that. But to me, it's fascinating when you see someone's strongest planet in the seventh house. So my 3-year-old strongest planet is Mars, and it's in the seventh house. It's ruler of the fourth, me, his dad was a football player. But it's, you can't deny, you've been around the kid, he's a Mars kid. So again, this is the thing that blows my mind, right? We can look at an adult's chart and we can see Venus in the seventh, and we can talk about partnership and relationship. But what about when you're looking at this kid's chart when they're 2 years old, right? You're not thinking about maybe you're thinking about the person's future relationship. But do you see how the interpretation kind of falls flat if you're talking about a kid? Because it hasn't been formed yet. This child, right, has a sensitivity to the most powerful aspect in the chart. Cancer rising, a sensitivity to a certain kind of aesthetic experience. Right, and even if the young person, right, has that aesthetic experience through other people, do you see, right? They're young, right? It has an effect on them. It's the strongest effect on this person. Ruler of the first and the sixth, right? In Sagittarius. So, if we think of combining the effects of the ascendant, okay, because if we're looking at the ascendant, Cancer rising, right, strongest aspect, the opposition from Venus. It looks like there's a trine from Jupiter up there in the 9th house, the ruler in the 6th, in Sag. And we won't even get into the square from Pluto in the 3rd, but you can see, right, that a lot of activation to this person's first house. And again, we already know they're an athlete. So this is the chart of Michael Jordan. One of the things I've seen in athletes' charts, Neptune, Mars, Neptune, Mars, Neptune, Mars, Neptune, like the big time athletes, like 90% of big time huge athletes, Neptune, Mars. Again, think of Neptune, things that capture your imagination. If you can't the great athletes, they do things that capture our imagination. And in order for them to manifest those things, they had to have imagined themselves doing those things. Neptune is one of the planets of manifestation. The other planet is Saturn. You guys have heard me say this. What are the 2 planets of impossibility? Neptune and Saturn, right? And in this chart, Neptune and Saturn are in the square aspect, and they're both in a hard aspect to Mars. This person has made billions of dollars from a shoe with an image of him flying through the air. Neptune rules aviation, right? It's right. It's like thinking of dunking from the free throw line before him, and people thought it was impossible, right? The things that Michael Jordan did. Oh wow! Oh wow! Arguably, not even the greatest athlete of all time. Right? This is doing something with Mars, Saturn, Neptune. So when we feel sorry for people when they have hard aspects, do you see how it's doing them a huge disservice? Neptune is our, however it occurs, the ability to capture someone's imagination because you're running on that frequency. Neptune is the planet of a higher frequency, a higher vibration, right? Someone's in a bad relationship, okay? They're going to be stuck in that relationship until they can imagine a better one. Even if the relationship ends and they break up, they're just going to have the next relationship, the next one, right? Another version of the same relationship until they allow themselves to imagine themselves relating on a higher frequency, right? This is why Neptune is the planet of wishful thinking, right? Our fantasies, right? We tend to look at those things as negative things, but if you're in a, Neptune was given to us by the good Lord to get us out of shitty situations, right? And how we do that is we imagine things being better, right? I could barely touch the rim. I imagine myself flying through the air and dunking the ball, okay? Powerful. Right? Because when the imagination is powerful and steady, it attracts energy, right? That supports that imagined image coming into manifestation. So Neptune is our ability to connect to an image. Saturn is our ability to bring it down to earth and make it real. Right? Do you see how making right something happens that's impossible? Neptune had to perceive it. Saturn had to bring it down to earth. And the Neptune is in the 5th house, right? Activating the Mars, activating the Saturn. Right? Trining the Jupiter up there in the 9th in Pisces. Trining the ascendant, right? Look at that grand trine. Mercury, the ascendant. Oh. Right, that's Michael Jordan, right? That's Michael Jordan, okay? And then we can see the highlights, right? The ascendant, we can see how the story goes. Any young kid, right? Any young kid who's put into sports, they are presented with this fantasy about work hard and good things will happen to you. Okay? All of us, right? It's part of the, like, that's how you train great athletes, right? So this kid finds himself in sports, right? He's got he's Cancer rising, moon in the 6th. Right? I think this person soaking up early coaching, soaking it up, right? And what is the early coaching saying? Work hard and good things will happen. It's environment, right? Right? Even I say sports is a celebration of discord, right? You put a young kid that has this kind of discord, you put them in a place that celebrates and trains and hones someone how to deal with discord. Oh, wow. The right environment. Right? That's why it's not the chart, it's the environment. And as we become adults, right, if we allow ourselves, okay, we have the ability to manipulate the environment. You know, people now can even change their gender. But meaning, I think the most powerful thing in the environment are the people in the environment. The people in the environment. So if you think of the thing that is oppressing us the most, or when I say us, right, getting in the way of our planets expressing themselves, freely and constructively, are other people, right? And most of those people, aside from our parents, most of those people we choose, even our parents now, right? Unless we're under their roof. We still choose to be in those environments. And what's the value of choosing environments that make it harder for you to be yourself?
Is there luck involved that Michael Jordan happened to be in an environment that put him into sports?
When we say luck, we see the experiences that this person is going to attract. Right, this person is going to attract certain experiences. And so part of the environment is about preparing the person to make the most out of the experiences. And so again, the grand trine here, there's definitely luck. There's definitely luck in the chart, but anyone that shows up to an astrologer, okay, the fact that you're sitting in front of an astrologer that can give you some of this information, that is an expression of luck. Okay. And I've seen it. Some people, we have the conversation and it changes their life. Some people, we have the conversation and it touches them for 4 days and then they forget about it for the most part. So there's always going to be luck, right? It's about, are people prepared to capitalize on it? And the way I think about it, it's this combination between harmony and discord, right? If we're using our harmony, if we're using our gifts to deal with the discord, to deal with the challenges we attract, oh my God, that's the sweet spot, right? But most people ignore their gifts, right? So that they can keep complaining about the difficult stuff, right? But again, this, right? Can you imagine this person complaining? South Node and, right? No, okay, right? So you see, like, it's a combination of this person's harmony and discord coming together, right? And the beautiful thing, the lesson here is, to me, is for parents, okay? In parenting, is if you understand the potentials in your child's chart, right? Create environments that allow the expression and development of those potentials. Because that's the one thing that we do have power over, is our environment, the things that are around us. Because the planets only have as much power as there are things in the environment that allow them to express through. Like the old werewolf motif where the werewolf says, when the full moon, lock me in the barn and run away as fast as you can, right? Because they realize if he's locked in a barn, right, the only person he can hurt is himself. Right, that's creating an environment for someone to navigate a Mars experience. And so if you start to attune to this idea, right, that all of your experiences are preparing you for doing something, being something, contributing something, it's easier to enjoy the journey. All right, so hopefully you guys remember this chart. And also, and to honor our training. Yes, of course, I'd be so curious about Michael Jordan's relationship history. Okay? It's fascinating, but right, we can see this is, again, one of the greatest athletes, if not the greatest athlete of all time. Doesn't jump out the way we would expect it to, But this grand trine is giving us information, giving us a lot of information, as is the T-square. But you see how kind of all of these configurations, they center on the Neptune? That's another layer of what are the strongest planets, because there's the strongest planet. And to me, that's always going to give us information. But if in real life, what are the strongest planets, and which one of these strongest planets got the most love growing up? It's the Venus is the strongest planet, but the strongest aspect is Venus opposing the ascendant. And do you see how the Venus opposing the ascendant kind of tells the story? So and this is my personal experience, and I have Venus conjunct Mars. I have Venus conjunct Mars, okay? And I think of Venus conjunct Mars, the term that comes to my mind is martial arts, martial Mars arts. But sports are a martial art. So I took a class in college on philosophy in sport, and we had to write a paper on aesthetics, Venus, okay, right, the Venus side of philosophy as it applied to sports. And the image, as I was writing the paper, the image that kept coming through my mind was the image of Michael Jordan flying through the air with the ball in his hand. That image, right, on all the shoes, on all the gear, iconic, right? The aesthetic of sports, people watching him play, right? To me, when we watch a game and we're like, right, we can't fathom how someone got their body to do that. To me, that was what I wrote in the paper of how to define aesthetics related to sports. Why people love to watch Michael Jordan.